the machinery of persuasion to engage with Schopenhauer's The Art of Controversy is to dismantle a clockwork mind, to observe each gear and spring that drives the engine of debate. His treatise is not a mere catalogue of rhetorical tricks, but a philosophical autopsy of persuasion itself, how it functions, why it succeeds, and what it reveals about the human psyche. At its heart, the work operates on a fundamental tension, the pretense of seeking truth versus the primal urge to dominate one. Of the book's most unsettling insights is that logic is often a secondary concern in argumentation. Schopenhauer presents a taxonomy of stratagems, 38 in total each, designed to secure victory, regardless of factual or rational superiority. Some are subtle, like shifting the meaning of terms, mid-debate, ignoratio, elenchi. Others are brazen, like appealing to authority argumentum, agi veracundia. What unites them is their shared purpose, not to illuminate, but to overpower. This exposes a deeper truth about discourse. The will to win is frequently stronger than the will to understand. Schopenhauer, ever the philosopher of volition, sees in this a microcosm of his broader metaphysics. Just as the blind, striving, will animates all existence, so too does it animate debate, turning what should be an exchange of ideas into a contest of dominance. The opponent is not a collaborator in truth-seeking, but an obstacle to be circumvented, a force to be subdued. Yet within this cynical framework lies an unexpected practicality. By systematizing these stratagems, Schopenhauer arms the reader against them. To recognize a strawman argument is to defang it. To spot a red herring is to refuse its diversion. In this sense, the book functions as both a manual for offense and a shield for defense. It is a mirror held up to the tricks we ourselves may unconsciously employ, forcing a moment of uncomfortable self-awareness. Another core theme is the illusion of objectivity in debate. We like to believe that reason alone governs our disputes, but Schopenhauer dismantles this myth with surgical precision. He shows how emotion, ego, and even boredom shape the course of an argument far more than syllogisms do. The most skilled debater is not the one with the soundest logic, but the one who best manipulates the psychological terrain, who plays on pride, fatigue, or the audience's biases. This raises a provocative question. If debate is so often a theater of manipulation rather than truth, is it worth engaging in at all? Schopenhauer does not offer easy answers, but his analysis suggests a sobering reality. The game is rigged, yet we must play a tiff only to avoid being unwitting pawns in someone else's match. The key lies in awareness, to argue knowing the mechanisms at work, to wield rhetoric without being enslaved by it. Underlying all of this is a quiet lament for the rarity of true dialogue. In an ideal world, debate would be a meeting of minds, a mutual sharpening of thought. But Schopenhauer, with his characteristic gloom, suggests that such purity is the exception, not the norm. More common is the spectacle, the gladiatorial clash where the crowd's applause matters more than the integrity of the fight. And yet, there is a paradoxical optimism here. By exposing the machinery of persuasion, Schopenhauer grants us a measure of freedom. To see the strings is to resist, being a puppet. To name the stratagems is to weaken their power. In this way, the art of controversy becomes more than a tactical guide. It is an act of intellectual emancipation, the fractured mirror of reason. Schopenhauer's cunning atlas to navigate the art of controversy is to walk through an intellectual labyrinth where each corridor glints with rhetorical mirrors and each reflection presents not truth, but tactic. Within these folds of cunning, Schopenhauer outlines a world not of philosophical purity, but of arguments, raw, anatomy naked, pragmatic, and often merciless. In doing so, he does not lecture from Olympus, detached and benevolent. Instead, he descends into the mud of intellectual combat, a trickster philosopher who gleefully dissects our cherished illusions about reason and dialogue. At the heart of this treatise pulses a core assertion that human beings, far from rational, seekers of truth, are primarily driven by the will to win. Schopenhauer, always a disciple of will as the bedrock of human behavior, carries this metaphysical conviction into the realm of discourse. He tells us without fanfare and with surgical detachment that argument is rarely about discovering what is right. It is about proving oneself to be right. The stage of debate, whether in the drawing room or the courtroom or the digital colosseums of today, becomes not a sanctuary for truth, but an arena where ego straps on the armor of logic and brandishes the sword of language. Under this light, reasoning is not a divine gift. It is a tool of war. This, then, is the first great inversion Schopenhauer offers, that reason, rather than guiding us to the truth, often serves merely to justify positions already taken by instinct, pride, or necessity. In this view, reason is less a lighthouse and more a smokescreen. It is conjured not to reveal, but to obscure. It functions not as a beacon of objectivity, but as camouflage for our prejudices. This revelation lands like a thunderclap in the mind, disquieting, thrilling, undeniable. We are, he suggests, not the philosophers we imagine ourselves to be. We are performers, tacticians, and unconscious liars playing a grand, unconscious game. From this premise springs Schopenhauer's careful cartography of rhetorical strategies, celebrated list of 38 stratagems. Though he outlines them with wry clarity and practical ease, their deeper implications run far beyond technique. These stratagems, ranging from deliberate distraction and false extrapolation to ad hominem attacks and emotional manipulation, are the brushstrokes of a darker portrait. Each one reveals not just a method, but a psychology. Each is a small window into the way human beings contort reality to preserve face, dominance, or inner equilibrium. Here, the line between satire and sincerity blurs. One may laugh at the absurdity of the strategies, marvel at their simplicity, or even feel the twinge of recognition. Have I used this? Has it been used against me? But beneath that flicker of amusement lies a colder realization. If these tricks work, and they often do, what does that say about the architecture of our public reason? What kind of truth can survive a world where persuasion trumps accuracy, where the appearance of winning is more potent than the integrity of one's position? Schopenhauer does not offer remedies. He offers insight. He does not condemn the game, but neither does he glorify it. Instead, he lifts the curtain and lets us see its mechanics, its motivations, its masked dancers moving through familiar steps. In this way, the art of controversy becomes an existential lens, focusing not only on argument, but on the nature of communication itself. Language, for Schopenhauer, is not a transparent vehicle. It is an arena of illusion, an echo chamber in which the voice of will bounces endlessly off the walls of dialectic structure. One must understand that behind the apparent neutrality of technique, there lurks a deeper metaphysical principle. For Schopenhauer, all human action is rooted in the blind, irrational force of the will, an undercurrent of striving that animates everything from the animal kingdom to the human psyche. Arguments, then, are merely refined expressions of this same primeval will to survive. to conquer, to assert identity. The strategies Schopenhauer lays out are not artificial constructs. They are the logical flowering of that inner compulsion. And so, what begins as a list of rhetorical moves ends as a reflection of the eternal human condition, divided between the illusion of reason and the reality of drive. And yet, this is not cause for despair. Rather, it is an invitation to wakefulness. If we can see the will behind the argument, we can begin to loosen its grip. If we recognize the stratagems, not just in others, but within ourselves, we may find a strange kind of freedom, freedom not from argument, but within it. In this sense, the art of controversy does not strip us of dignity. It gives us a chance to reclaim it through consciousness. For those who engage in debate not merely to win, but to grow, Schopenhauer's map is essential. It shows where the minds are buried. It warns where the path narrows into manipulation. It teaches the rare art of distinguishing argument from insight, victory from understanding. And it does so with a voice both ancient and modern, cynical and strangely reverent, because perhaps, just perhaps, knowing how truth can be hidden is the first step in learning how to reveal it.